with dog 1, 2, 3 here. And I'm happy to say I have done 185 plus, a lot more. A lot more. But myself, 185. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. I already made 41 million on this. I don't know how I'm at 70 million right now, and I made like 50 million over there. Fuck, I spent a lot of fucking money on this game, and it says I made 40 million here, and wow. You know what? I should be like over 100 million. Except for they charge you like, I don't know, 30, 40,000 a day when you're on here and you have money. I know I could put on my second character and then they couldn't charge me, but then I don't care, man. You know, I want to see something. I'm gonna put all my money on my second character. Then I'm gonna go play my first character, and then I want to see if any of that money is taken from my second character to charge my first character on my properties. Because if it's not, then Rockstar is ripping everybody off so badly. It is so pathetic. And I don't even know why I'm playing this game anymore. But for now, I'm doing the Union Contract Depository yeah, I said that backwards. Alright, fuck it, who cares? From the beginning. But the thing is, you don't get 300,000. Thing is, you get either 270, 337,000. What's the other one I had? 315. Yeah. It depends on how many people you have, but you don't get 300,000 every time because they take a percentage off for that. That's why you get. Okay. Now here we go. Let's do this. And yes, I'm gonna listen to.
Is, of course, a streaming site full of content from your favorite educational YouTubers, including my 3-part trivia show, the HI Brick Special, early access to ad-free versions of regular videos, my podcast Showmakers with Brian from Real Engineering, and a new Wendover original coming very soon. Plus, with the bundle, you also get access to Curiosity Stream's thousands of top-quality documentaries, like their great new series.
Seriously, dude? Wow. Wow. I just started watching that one and wow. Okay. There we go. There we go.
Welcome to rSlash Entitled Parents, where an entitled mother physically assaults a blind woman. Our next Reddit post is from Tannerland. This evening, I was at a different church from the one that I usually attend. I had to work a longer shift than usual, so I couldn't make it to mine on time. I'm familiar with this group of believers because I went to their church school in high school. I go in, find a seat, and settle in. After the service is over, I'm walking around and talking to people who I haven't seen in a while. They're extending congratulations and asking about my pregnancy, which, when done respectfully, is fine. However, that wasn't to last. Up walks Sister Karen. Oh my, OP, when did you get married? I didn't get an invitation to the wedding. I wouldn't have invited Sister Karen to my wedding regardless. I said, no, Sister Karen, I'm not married yet. I had artificial insemination done to bring my little loved one to me. Wow, OP, I didn't think you would be so stupid and not think about how selfish you are. There are so many people who are both married and who actually serve the church. You could have offered your womb to these godly folks so they could raise this child in church and in a complete home. I was in so much shock that I couldn't form words. She pointed at my pregnant belly. My husband and I would be happy to raise that child in a complete home. We can't have any more kids, so this is a great blessing to our family. I said, haha, you got any more jokes? This is my baby. If you come near me, my child, or any
there's
other
no way
I
it's
have,
flat.
you're getting a restraining order.
Okay.
And I left the conversation to keep talking to other people. On the way back to my car, she tried to pray over me to get her and her husband,
you get the stars,
unfortunate child in my womb, to their household of true love. She is nuts. She has always been a nut job, but today she just took the entire cake along with the plate that it was sitting on. Some
movies,
people. Our next Reddit post is from Lex Luthor. You know, it's actually sad how often this sort of thing happens. I mean, being a blind girl, I encounter ignorant people almost daily.
The International Space Station.
A certain level of
hey, I got blown up!
Woo!
Yeah, I got blown up!
Alone more and more often during the pandemic. Yesterday was one of those cases. Grocery shopping is a more involved process for a blind person. I have to ask a staff member to assist me. I also have my guide dog, Gumbo, inside with me. My dog alone increases the instances of bad experiences. Now, during my shopping, I always get a wide array of reactions to my dog. But one in particular occurred towards the end of my shopping. I heard loud footsteps, followed by the loud screech of, "That doggy is so cute! Can I pet him?" It was obviously a small child by the voice, so I prepared myself before responding that no, my dog can't be touched due to him being a guide dog. Surprisingly, the child didn't act entitled, but she seemed surprised and excited about a dog having a job. She, at least I believe it was a she, asked me a few questions and then left. I thought nothing of it and continued with my shopping. After I finished, I decided to stop by the food court on the way out for some lunch. I ordered my food, sat down, and waited. But by some cosmic gracing of bad luck, that's the exact moment that this child and their parent decided to walk close by. I heard the child tell the mother about what I told her, about how my dog is working as a guide dog, that I'm blind, and I use him to get around. The mother isn't really saying anything, but I can sort of tell by her tone and the few words that she does say that she's seeing some issue with what her daughter was told. I decided to listen in, and after the daughter finished her babbling, the mother came up to me. Now, as I said, people coming up to me is super common. I thought nothing much of it. However, the first words out of her mouth were, "Why did you tell my daughter you're blind?" Her tone was very harsh, very accusatory. I immediately knew what was coming, but as usual, I put on a smile, because I am blind. Your daughter asked me about my dog, so I explained what guide dogs are and why we use them. "You're not blind?" "Excuse me?" Her straight-shooting words caught me off guard. "You're not blind? My cousin is blind, so I know what a blind person is like. You shouldn't lie about that. I think you should let my daughter pet the dog. She likes dogs. It's pretty bitchy to refuse a child something like that." My hackles rose slightly. Well, ma'am, not all blind people are the same. Just because you know a single blind person doesn't mean you know how all blind people are. And, as I already explained, your daughter can't pet my dog due to him being a seeing eye dog. Why are you lying? Your eyes are completely fine. You're using a phone. Don't say that you're blind if you're going to show that you're not at the same time. Why would you lie about this? Excuse me, but I'm not lying. My eyes looking fine have nothing to do with anything. Not every blind person's eyes look the same. Look, you're stressing me out. I'd rather you just left me alone. My daughter wants to pet your dog. She's been well behaved all throughout the day, and it's more than reasonable to let her pet the dog. I said no. I don't know why you can't just accept my answers. You said no using that BS excuse. You're honestly starting to piss me off. I don't know who you think you are, but I happen to work for... I don't actually remember what she said here. And if you don't stop it, I'll get security to throw you and your fake guide dog out of here. Now, I'm sure you get the picture. This went on for a good 5 minutes of her getting progressively more and more angry at the fact that I wouldn't let her daughter pet my dog. The daughter was actually silent throughout the whole thing. I don't really think that she even cared that much. The entitled mother, however, was another story. Eventually, she screamed out, That's it. I'm going to get security. If you're smart, you'll be gone by the time I get back, or you'll regret it. I snorted at her small fit and heard her huff and storm off. By that time, my food had arrived, so I started eating. I didn't really believe that she would go get security, but with entitled parents, you can't be sure. About, I don't know, 5 minutes or so went by of me eating. I was enjoying my fries, browsing Reddit in bliss. But, of course, she returned. I heard her stupid stomping from like 15 feet away, and I heard she was raging to, apparently, a security guard. Look, that's her. You see? She's sitting there with a dog. She says it's a guide dog, but she's not blind, so you have to kick her out. Dogs aren't allowed. I sighed and removed an earbud to prepare for the incoming ordeal. A deep male voice resounded from a few feet in front of me. He sounded rather harassed. Miss, is this a service dog? Yes, it is. He's a seeing eye dog. I'm allowed to take him in here. I have a copy of the appropriate law if you need it. No, that's fine. I know service dogs are allowed. This woman is saying that you aren't disabled, though. Is that true? No, she's just angry that I didn't let her daughter touch my dog. I honestly don't know why she cares. Because you're a liar. I told you I have a blind cousin. Don't try to tell me I don't understand blind people, because I do. I directed my attention to the security guard. I tried to explain to her that one blind person doesn't represent all blind people, but she doesn't seem to get it. Could you please ask her to leave me alone? I just want to eat in peace. So, you are blind? Yes, I am. Can you prove it in any way? No. How could I do that?
Okay.
And why? Well, it's just that she's saying one thing and you're saying another thing. I don't exactly know who to believe, but yeah, I see how proving you're blind doesn't really work. He spoke to the entitled parents. Why is it exactly that you think that she's lying? Are you serious? Are you thick? Look at her eyes. They're not white or cloudy like blind people's eyes are. She's literally looking at an effing phone. What's your response? I sighed. Maybe her cousin has those eye symptoms, but not every blind person does. Those symptoms are caused by diseases like cataracts, which I don't have. As for the phone, devices have been accessible for the blind for years. I find it surprising that she has a cousin who's blind who doesn't know that. No, I saw you look at the phone. You're looking at it. I have basic light perception. I can detect light. I direct my eyes to it out of habit because that's where my hands are occupied. Look, it's not my job to educate you on what you don't know. I said to the guard, please just ask her to leave me alone. I don't care if she doesn't believe me, but you don't have to stand here and mediate it back and forth as if we're going to agree. I'd like her to stop talking to me and leave me in peace. I'm feeling extremely harassed. Yeah, I get that. It's just that I can't know for sure if you're blind, so she might have a valid point. What? This applies to every blind person. How can anyone prove that? If she has no proof that I'm lying, then shouldn't you just give me the benefit of the doubt? I don't know. She said her cousin is blind, so she probably knows something about it. Wow, I'm not even gonna bother. Look, if you're not going to get her away from me, then I'm just gonna leave. Thanks for failing to protect a disabled patron. I stood up to leave, my dog getting up to guide me. I took a few steps, and I suddenly felt someone grab hold of the harness handle tightly and pull me to a stop. Wait, I said I wanted you to let my daughter pet the dog. Then you can leave. No, get off of my harness, get off! Now, understand that grabbing my harness is akin to someone taking away your eyes. She was impeding my means of navigation, so I panicked. This has only happened to me once before, and I panicked then, too. I attempted to pull my harness handle back, all the while screaming, get off, let go, help. And all the while, she was screaming in my ear about... Actually, I wasn't exactly listening because I was too busy screaming, but I assumed that it had something to do with her daughter. The security guard was fumbling around fairly uselessly. Eventually, another security guard hurried over, and I heard him bark out, "What's going on here? She's taking my guide dog. Help me, she won't let go." No, she's supposed to let my daughter pet her dog. He said so. I assumed that she pointed to the guard. The guard didn't respond, but the way that the conversation went, it seemed like he non-verbally indicated that he hadn't said that. Miss, let go of that lady's dog right now, or I'll escort you out. No, she's not blind. The dog isn't real. Don't just jump in and assume that you know what's going on. By now I calmed down a bit, so I said, please just get her off me. I want to leave. I don't feel safe. Let me leave. Hey, you're alright, miss. Everything's gonna be fine. I felt the woman's hand being forcibly removed from the harness handle. As soon as I was free, I immediately commanded Gumbo to lead me to the exits. We walked quickly. I heard the woman screeching loudly behind me and the man shouting, "Calm down, just stop screaming." I was still somewhat panicked, but I was able to calm myself down as I hurried towards the exits. It was so chaotic that I very nearly forgot my shopping where I left it at customer services. I left, called a taxi, and came home. It's really stuck with me for the last couple of days. But the worst part is that these types of interactions are an almost daily occurrence. Blind people are the targets of constant harassment in public. This woman just went farther by physically assaulting me. I know that I could have and should have gotten her arrested, but honestly, I was just so panicked I wanted out of that situation ASAP. So why am I telling this story? In short, spreading awareness. It's important for people to know more about the blind experience and what blind people have to deal with. It's also super important to say that if you're ever a witness to a situation like I just described, intervene. Had that second security guard not intervened for me, that situation would have been a lot worse. So I would appreciate any upvotes on this post to help spread more awareness. And I didn't even get to finish my fries. So what's so awful about this story is that even if the entitled parent was right, like obviously she wasn't right, she was completely wrong, but even if she was correct about OP lying about being blind, still she said no, you can't pet the dog, so what's the problem? No means no. Blind or not blind, if OP said no, you can't touch the dog, then that means no, you can't touch the dog. But, of course, the fact that OP is actually blind makes this 1,000 times worse and so much more disrespectful. And the fact that the security guard had to come up and be like, well, I'm not really sure whose side to pick here. Well, obviously what you're supposed to do is just stop the fighting, just separate them. Like, what is this guy gonna do? Enforce dog petting? OP, I feel sorry that this happened to you. That woman was awful, and to be honest, that first security guard was incredibly incompetent. Our next Reddit post is from Emmanuel Macaroni. For starters, most of my parents were born in Yugoslavia, which is now modern-day Serbia, and migrated to the U.S. Now, my dad can speak English fine, but my mom has trouble speaking it, so me and my dad use Serbian most of the time. I take the bus to school, and of course there's a bunch of people who take the bus. I get in, pay, and take my seat. About 2 stops later, the bus stops at a train station, and then comes the entitled parent with her kid in one hand. They get on the bus, pay, and take the 2 seats across from me. Everything was fine for the first few minutes, and nothing was going on. I decided to call my dad to let him know that I was almost at school, and we spoke in Serbian. Once the conversation finished, the entitled mother's kid tried to get my attention, and the conversation went like this. "What were you saying?" I was just talking to my dad. "You talk funny." Oh, that's because we were speaking in our language. At this point, the entitled mother joined the conversation. "Well, your language isn't what we all speak around here. We speak English, and you will too." "Ma'am, my family isn't from here. We're from..." "I don't care where you're from. English is what we speak, so speak it." "I understand that you speak English, but my family has a hard time speaking it, so I'd rather use our language so they can understand me. Besides, what we're talking about is of no use to you." Why can't you damn Russians get the hint that your language isn't what we want to hear you speak? If you can't speak English, then just go back to Russia. We would do better without you commies all over our land. First of all, ma'am, my family is Serbian. Second, we're not communists. And third, it's not a crime to speak another language. This is America, and we speak English, so do it or go back to your own damn country. At this point, I just put in my earbuds and let her go on. The bus was almost at my stop, so I got up, and before I walked off the bus, I looked at the lady and told her, "Ti velika kuko," which is Serbian for, "you big bitch." The face she gave me was priceless. I don't know what it is about getting cursed out in another language. It's weird because it feels worse than getting cursed out in English. If someone says, "screw you, you asshole," in English, then I guess because you hear that thing so often, it kind of like rolls off your back. It's not a big deal. But when someone says what you know must be a curse word to you in another language, it like feels worse, right? Am I making this up? I mean, it's a feeling that I have. If someone cursed me out in another language, then I would feel worse, but I've never actually heard that expressed anywhere else. So I'm assuming that this experience that I'm having is true for everyone. But if someone said to me, "Tavelika Kuko," I'd be like, I would want to remember it so I could look it up, even though it's just, big bitch. It's not a big deal. It's not like a wound to the heart, It's just a pretty standard curse. So am I wrong about this? Am I the only person who feels this way, or do most people think that being cursed out in a language that you don't understand feels a lot worse? Down in the comments, we had this story from Unconfirmed Rooster. So I'm part Italian, and I used to talk to my grandparents in Italian. One day, an entitled woman starts yelling at my grandmother to speak English. Without batting an eye, my grandmother turned to her and said, "F you, is that better?" Oh, the look that we got. That was r/entitled parents, and if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.
Kinda look like you got a head injury and you failed the LSPD psych test. You're a little slow.
Welcome to r/entitled parents, where an entitled father almost kills a baby. Our next Reddit post is from Stepping on Stones. As a 27-year-old guy, I have many friends with kids, mostly in the toddler age group, as well as many friends without kids, like myself. Now, don't get me wrong, I love being the fun friend and uncle, but I've always stood firm in my decision not to have kids. To that end, most of my friends with kids have grown to accept that, and we just don't bring it up. There's just no cause to, right? I think my friends just expect that one day me and my friends will announce that we're pregnant, which will never happen, but that's okay. You see, being a single, childless young man, I naturally have quite a bit more freedom in my life than my friends with kids do. I can still live my life on a whim. They can't. I can roughly predict my next 2 weeks. They can't. If I want to have kids later in life, then I can reverse that decision. They can't. To that end, most of my friends with children are still wholesome and loving friends. They love seeing me traveling to exotic places, and they adore the small trinkets and lengthy stories I bring home with me. One set of friends, however, has shown their true colors lately. See, over the past few years, I've helped them left, right, and center, financially speaking. I don't mind because they have mouths to feed, and I know how it feels to struggle, so I don't want to see my friends and their kids doing the same. The most notable expense was the $1,800 that I shelled out to literally buy them a functional vehicle. Keep that in mind. That $1,800 will be important later. This friend in question has a 3-year-old with their girlfriend, and their girlfriend has a 9-year-old from a previous relationship. This couple in particular has started acting very bitter towards me lately, almost as soon as they found out that I'm planning a month-long trip to Brazil in June. My friend's immediate response was, "Ugh, you should be saving that money so you can buy a house and start a family." I replied, "But I have no interest in reproducing, and I'm not ready to set an anchor. We've discussed that." His girlfriend piped in, "Yeah, whatever. Must be nice to just fly off all over the world. Maybe one day you'll know what it's like to be responsible instead of only thinking about you." I was thinking, excuse me? Excuse me? I've worked my fingers to the bone to save for this vacation and all of my previous voyages, and to that end, I'm not even done yet. I've been strictly budgeting my money for over a year to make this happen. I even gave up cigarettes and soda to save a few more bucks a week. No eating out, no buying video games, basically nothing outside of the essentials. I work more hours per week than both of them combined. I'm not judging them, they have kids to care for, but still, I earned this money. And then for them to act like I'm some kind of lesser man just because I didn't accidentally reproduce right out of high school, to me, that was both laughable and pathetic. But even when this conversation took place, I just chalked it up to, okay, they resent me for it in the moment. I guess I can understand that. I mean, I know that neither one of them has ever gotten to do something like this, and I do feel somewhat like a jerk because they have to watch me fly off to Brazil knowing they could never afford this because, well, raising kids is expensive. But then, these friends took a massive step further and asked to borrow $3,000 so they could also have a vacation that summer. She even whipped out her phone and pulled up the resort that they wanted to stay at. As soon as I noticed that she entered a 14-day stay totaling $2,400, I realized that they had planned to ask me for this money all along. I was honestly speechless for a moment. So eventually I said something like, look man, I've been saving for this for over a year. I can't afford to loan any of that money out, or I won't be able to afford to go on my vacation. And to be honest, I still have to recoup that $1,800 I loaned to you guys a while back. So, I'm sorry, but the answer is no. And my friends just lost it. All you single assholes ever think about is yourself. You have no idea what it's like. We never get to do anything. Some friends you are. You'd rather go off by yourself than help our kids have a good summer. At this point, I simply left without saying another word. It's clear to me now that all I ever was a piggy bank. This all happened last weekend, and even today I received a text that said, are you sure that we can't all just go to the resort together? The kids really need this. It's not like you can't go to Brazil some other time. And this, my friends, has been a hastily written and hurtful example of entitlement. It's just fascinating to me how someone can hold two completely opposite opinions and say them in the same conversation. They criticize you and say how awful you are for spending money on yourself, but then in the next breath they ask for that money because they want to spend it on themselves. And they criticize you for not being a good friend when what have they given you, right? It's just the hypocrisy and the entitlement is so confusing to me. Do they not know? Do they genuinely not know that they're being hypocritical? Or do they know that they're being hypocritical, but they just don't care because they're selfish and they want what they want? And relationships and personal integrity be damned. Our next Reddit post is from Ginchan. This story is about the time that my entitled mother-in-law and father-in-law almost killed my child. The title's a bit dramatic, but oh well. This happened back in 2010. We had to live with my husband's family for a while. It was my sister-in-law's house, but we lived with her, her daughter, my mother-in-law, father-in-law, and brother-in-law. When my son was 5 months old, my niece got violently ill one night and kept throwing up. Obviously, I decided to keep my baby away from the family so he wouldn't get sick. They did not like that. Especially my mother-in-law and father-in-law, who kept whining and complaining that I was keeping their precious grandson away. They kept complaining even after I explained to them that I didn't want my kid to get sick. I gave in because I was tired of hearing them complain literally all day on the condition that my niece stays in her room the whole time and they wash their hands first. And yes, I'm aware that this is where I messed up. I had to use the bathroom and was only gone for a few minutes. When I came back, my niece was on the couch holding my son. Snot was dripping from her nose, she was coughing, and my father-in-law told her, give your cousin a big kiss. Which she did, right on my baby's lips. I freak out, snatch up my baby, and lock us in the bathroom so I can wash him. The whole time, my mother-in-law and father-in-law were at the door telling me that I'm overreacting and that sharing germs builds immunity and other BS. Of course, the next morning my baby had a high fever and was really lethargic. I tell my in-laws that I want to take my baby to the hospital, but my sister-in-law was adamant that it wasn't that bad, and I should just make an appointment with this pediatrician instead. I didn't have a license or a car, so I had to rely on other people. Like an idiot, I listened to her because I thought that she was on my side and that she knew more because her kid was older. I made an appointment for that afternoon. I got there. The doctor took one look at my baby and told me to take him to the hospital, which was 1 block down. The doctor said they would be expecting me, and my son was admitted as soon as we walked in the door. They told me that I was lucky, and that if I had waited any longer, my baby wouldn't have survived the night. His lungs were filling up with mucus, and he couldn't breathe. He had to be hooked up to an oxygen tank, and they had to vacuum suction the mucus out every hour. We spent a week in the hospital, and my son made a full recovery. Of course, the in-laws fully blamed me. My mother-in-law especially, but the others more or less agreed with her. She said my son got sick because I was dirty for having a child out of wedlock and that I'm a bad mother. My husband was pissed and told her off, but that woman has the worst case of selective hearing I've ever seen. I have never fully trusted that woman since. Jeez, I don't know about you, OP, but if someone told a sick person to kiss my baby on the lips, then I would just completely cut them out of my life forever. It's my kid. It's not your kid, so go f*** yourself. Our next Reddit post is from Sammy Ann Wade. I'm a 29-year-old woman, and when I was a child I lived with my mom and her new boyfriend. We'll call him Adam. They met when I was 10 years old. From the moment I met this man, I never liked him. He gave off the most terrifying vibes, and even as a child, I could instinctively tell that there was something wrong with this man. Fast forward 6 years, and my mom and Adam are getting married, on my birthday no less. Over the past 6 years, I've gotten 3 new siblings, and Adam has made my life a living hell. He was physically and verbally aggressive almost every single day to me, my mom, and my siblings. However, he's always had a particular dislike towards me. He would exclude me from family events, force family members to not give me presents at Christmas and birthdays, and then humiliate me on those events and make a scene because I didn't receive gifts. When I was 11 years old, he called me a slut for wearing a skirt. He spent about $50,000 of my inheritance on himself, buying things like mountain bikes. He would hide my phone for no reason, so I couldn't contact my father, friends, or extended family. He would never let me eat the tastiest food, and he would sit there and eat it in front of me. He ruined the very expensive 4-wheel drive car that I bought for my mom as an adult. He stole cars, stole motorbikes, and he started a bushfire. He tried to pin a breaking and entering that happened at my friend's house on my boyfriend. All of this is just a snippet of the charms of this awful human being. I moved out of my home very shortly after the wedding, and at 16, I was living on my own, juggling 2 part-time jobs, going to school full-time in a brand new state and a brand new city. But still, this was way better than living at home with that man. Fast forward another 10 years, I'm 26 years old, and my mom has finally gained the courage to separate her and my 3 siblings from Adam after years of abuse. Adam still tries to terrorize their lives and control them, and demonstrates very threatening behavior, but at least they're out. My 3 siblings chose to stay with my mom, for obvious reasons, but they still had to have visitation with their father due to custody arrangements. Adam always held lots of resentment towards the kids for this, but can you blame them? Fast forward now to the present day. I have full care of the oldest of my 3 siblings because she wanted to escape Adam completely and move to live with me. I fully support this because I've always tried to help wherever I can. The youngest of the 3 still lives with mom. The middle child, my brother, was very traumatized by Adam's behavior and consequently has lots of untreated trauma and behavior to go with it. I tried to take care of him and let him live with me, but he was far too violent for me to handle. Adam actively stopped my brother from getting the mental health he needed. My brother moved back in with my mother and youngest sister, but he was too violent for them to handle too. Last week, my brother assaulted a family member at my mom's house. My brother was escorted off the property by police and taken to Adam's house to live. On Wednesday, I got a message from Adam for the first time in years saying, "Your brother's missing. The police have been called. If you know anything, call me or the police." Instant panic sets in. I feel like a scared child again from a very benign message from this man. I sat there looking at this message all night, wondering what to do about it. That's when it came to me. Adam asked me to call the cops if I knew anything, but Adam didn't specify what I had to know to tell the police. He just said that if I knew something to call them. So I did. I called the cops and told them that I felt I had some very important information to tell them regarding my missing brother. I told them everything about all the abuse that happened to me and my family at great lengths. I told them that if they find my brother and return him to Adam's house, then they would be putting him in direct danger. I told them absolutely everything. The police were very interested to hear about Adam and eventually put me on with a more senior officer. He asked me to retell my story, which I did, and he said someone would call me back. A while later, I got a call back asking if it was necessary, would I be willing to sign a statement confirming what I said over the phone, and of course I agreed. I go down to my local police station to sign the written statement. There is now an arrest warrant out for Adam for a multitude of reasons, and I was told that under no circumstances would Adam be getting my brother or any of my siblings back in his care. Now, this isn't the juiciest entitled parent story on here, but I did maliciously comply with my douchebag stepfather's request. And now he won't be able to hurt my family anymore, so that's worth smiling about. It's been a slow burn to see any kind of justice come to this evil, entitled, awful human, but eventually my patience paid off. Beneath that, OP posted an update saying that eventually they found her brother, and he's perfectly fine. Also, OP received a text message from Adam that said, "It's obviously no concern of yours, big sister, so thanks for only caring for yourself." I really love reading stories like these, not because they're interesting, but because they give me an opportunity to tell my viewers that behavior like this isn't normal. So if the way that Adam behaves feels familiar to you because you see it in your uncle or your father or your mother or whatever, then it's important for you to understand that this is not normal behavior and you can report it. Child Protective Services, your school, the cops. If you're a child who's being physically, verbally, or emotionally abused, there are people out there whose job it is to help you. Anyways, OP, I'm really glad that you were able to escape that toxic situation, and I sincerely hope they throw your stepfather in jail. That was r/entitled parents, and if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.
Right there.
This my shit. The Union Depository, this is the motherfucking big leagues now, y'all. Hit me with that plan again.
Welcome to r/entitled parents, where an entitled mother makes a scene at a funeral. Our next Reddit post is from Calypso Eclipso. I remember this super vividly. Lots of tears were shed this day because my family had lost our matriarch, my great-grandmother of 104 years old. My family was torn to shreds that weekend. A bit of backstory. My dad's family is full of many different ethnic groups. My aunts and uncles live all over the world, so they've married accordingly. However, this entitled mother and entitled kid, who were about 40 and 10 years old respectively, figured that their emotions were more important than my emotions. I've always been close to my grandparents on my dad's side, and that didn't change even when my mom and dad divorced and I moved to Texas. For clarity, the setting of the story is in my hometown of Wichita, Kansas. I have been to my fair share of funerals, and if it wasn't seen as disrespectful, I would much rather mourn in secret. Yet, at every funeral that I've gone to, my father has always saved me a seat in the front pews near him. That way, I'm not lost in the sea that is my dad's side of the family. And this time, since my dad's parents and grandparents were all dead, he was sputtering and bawling and just wouldn't stop. I'm jumping a bit too far ahead, so let's take a step back to when everyone was filing into the chapel. I, naturally, took my spot next to my father in the first row of pews, preparing for tons of tears. I was taking a moment to myself to breathe, calming myself down. I was getting anxious, and I was about to have an anxiety attack. That's when entitled mother, entitled kid, and a begrudging nice dad, who's one of my uncles, walk up to me. I stand to give them a hug and some blessings as normal, then go to sit down. Suddenly, though, the entitled mother grabs my arm and holds me standing. Her fingernails are cutting into me a bit, but I don't say much about it. Excuse me? Where do you think you're going? Indirect family sits towards the back. I was appalled. Multiple memories of me hanging out at my great-grandmother's house, playing with Legos until my dad came home from work, start filling my mind. I cleared my throat. None of this was helping with my anxiety attack, by the way. Sorry, I don't think I understand. I am Big Granny's first generation of great-grandbabies. This is my seat. Same as my dad. This is her grandbaby. This is reserved seating. I don't see your name on it, kid. Move out of the way. Don't you know how to respect your elders? Acting that way doesn't make you any more of an elder than it makes me. You don't see me telling Big Granny's great-great-great-grandkids not to chew gum or play on their moms and dads' phones instead, do you? I've known Big Granny for years. You've never been around. There's no way a slut spawn like you has a reserved seat here. I doubt she even remembered you. I'm nearly in tears at this point. Not only did she insult me, but she tried to tack on some guilt trip to make me feel even worse for having to live with my mother under custody. My mom didn't even want me to come to the funeral. I look over, and they're carrying in Big Granny, preparing to start. I begin to whisper, fighting the tears of confrontation, as well as seeing Big Granny's coffin. I'm sure that Granny wouldn't want someone calling her great-grandchild a slut spawn. It's time to be respectful. The entitled kid butts in, trying to put in her own 2 cents. She's right, you know. Big Granny loved me more because I was around, so we deserve to see her first. Now move, you jerk. Hush up and stay out of grown folks' conversation. The entitled mother turns back to me and says, "But she's right. We've been around more, so these are our seats. Move it." At this point, my dad stands up, his light-skinned face turning beet red in anger. He looked as if he was going to pop his eyeballs out. "Uncle, take your wife to the back. Big Granny is here. This is not a time to be disrespectful." "Excuse me? I have just as much right to be here with entitled kid to honor our great-grandmother as much as she..." "Get out." "What?" "Leave the chapel. Go away. You're bringing negative energy to a serious situation. Leave now." My dad's outburst brought a ton of attention. I was nearly in tears, and it wasn't even because they'd opened her casket for viewing. The entitled mother, entitled kid, and nice father start walking out, while entitled mother and entitled kid are beet red and bawling. I grab my uncle's hand and shake my head. "You deserve to see her. You weren't part of what happened back there." He said, "That's nice, but I've been trying to turn her out for a while now. The lawyer said to be cordial and all." My dad smiled knowingly. My dad said, "You'd better hope that you get custody of entitled kid so you can raise her right. It seems that her mother isn't there for her, and would rather just try to seem important in front of everyone else. It's not the way to live. Come, sit down. Let's scoot over, OP." I oblige, and everything goes as normal. The funeral service was amazing. It wasn't depressing, the pastor made some nice points, made some good laughs, and brought back some really fond memories. One thing from the funeral that I'll always remember is the phrase, "Let not your heart be troubled." Our next Reddit post is from Rowdy. "I'm an 18-year-old guy, and today I went to a local outdoor gym. It's a fairly basic setup. A few bars to hang off of, some planks to jump onto, and parallel bars. I like to work out after university on most days, and today was no different. I got into my workout gear and ran from where I'm staying at to the outdoor gym. I was the only one there when I got there, just like normal. Occasionally there will be one other person. After about an hour, a mother with a couple of kids came. The kids were probably between 3 to 5 years old. The kids started playing on the bars and stuff, as kids do. I was fine with that. I just didn't use any of the bars in my circuits. While working out, the mother kept looking at me. She was probably in her mid-20s to 30s. After about 10 minutes, she came over to me and said, "Isn't it a bit weird that you're using a playground like this?" I was confused, but responded, "This is an outdoor gym." "Well, you should go to a real gym so I don't have to worry about my kids." "This is here for the community. I don't have an issue with your kids being here, but I find it kind of rude how you're asking." "Well, if everyone is allowed here, how about you stop scaring my kids with your presence? A big guy in the playground is scary." "What do you mean by that?" "Well, you're probably here because you want to touch..." Welcome to rSlash Entitled Parents, where an entitled father tells OP that he's not allowed to cook food in his own home. Our next Reddit post is from Anita Derange. I've written a handful of times about this particular entitled mom. She is notorious for being difficult. She refuses to lift her plate with her own children, claiming she is too weak. She has 5 kids. She won't watch them or really do much. She relies on her family and her poor husband to raise them. She recently went to the doctor and swore that she was diagnosed with complex partial seizures, claiming that she was having seizures every 5 minutes. She said that her brain was essentially rebooting over and over, and that was why she couldn't do anything adult-like. Now, I was skeptical because she had gone to the doctors on her own and her husband didn't know exactly what the doctor said. After weeks of medication, the drama goblin still hasn't cleaned her house, let alone any of the other changes she swore were coming. She just lays in bed and online shops all their money away. This can't be her fault. No, it must be that the medicine isn't working. She goes back to the doctor and they give her this kind of watch-like device to wear for a bit. The device would track her seizures and alert her and them if she had a bad one. The drama goblin is sure that her brain is rebooting, and so there's no way to get her life back together. Instead of trying, she starts hounding her husband to have another baby. That'll fix everything, just like the last 4 did. But her husband doesn't want to do it anymore. He's overwhelmed with everything as it is. She told him that she doesn't care what he wants. I told him to secretly go get his tube snipped. He won't, but he needs to. Pretty soon I'm sure I'll be making a post with the update. Drama Goblin is pregnant. Anyway, on the Drama Goblin's follow-up, her husband goes with her this time. He's concerned because of the things Drama Goblin has done or said. He showed the doctor some video he had of her seizures. The doctor tells the Drama Goblin that, according to the device she's wearing, she's not having seizures. her brain isn't rebooting. That, in her professional opinion, she believes Drama Goblin has some undiagnosed mental illness and referred her to a psychiatrist. She was firm and kind. But the Drama Goblin flipped out and told her that she was having seizures. That this doctor obviously didn't know what she was talking about. The Drama Goblin wanted to speak with the doctor's boss because of how she was speaking to her. The doctor pretty much told her to get a second opinion if she didn't believe her, but really pushed seeing someone and getting diagnosed properly. Drama Goblin is pissed. She refuses to contact any psychiatrist. She made an appointment for another doctor and a lawyer because she's convinced this doctor singled her out because she has a disability and can't do certain things. She drives me mad, but at least she's entertaining. Our next Reddit post is from Yatu Sobs. When I was a preteen, my mom gave me a diary with a tiny lock and a key. I hid the keys and I began using the diary almost immediately. I was a bookworm and I loved reading and writing. I was also quite neglected as a child, so my diary was the only place that I could express myself and feel heard. I'd read my latest entries, and that allowed me to reflect on my own thoughts and actions and learn from my past situations. It was honestly really great for my mental health. For a time, my mood and mental health improved. Time passed. I couldn't tell you how long, probably a few months. Shortly after that, I wrote an entry about my first wet dream. My mom became furious and confronted me, full on screaming. She sat me in the living room as she towered over me, screaming in my face, asking me if I thought this was normal, that I was having depraved thoughts that no child my age...
What a dick. No, what a... Okay, this is the thing. I want to fund his first shift, but I don't know if I can find it. Yeah. It's like, you can't look it up, you know, because, hey, it doesn't have no date to look up in there. Oh, kids videos. A lot. I don't even know how I found this guy. Weird. Trying to go back to Vienna, but okay.
Welcome to r/entitled parents, where an entitled mother orders her kids to pee in someone's pool. I just recently had a new family move into my neighborhood. The neighborhood is relatively small and close-knit, the kind of neighborhood where everyone knows each other and we generally all get along well. We have big block parties and shoot off fireworks on the holidays. The new family is a middle-aged couple with their 4 children. The kids' ages range from around 14 to 2. This incident is just the first of several problems that I've had with the family since they moved in. I was hanging out in the living room, just relaxing and watching TV. From the couch, I have a clear view into my backyard. That's when I noticed the retractable cover of my swimming pool begin to roll up. I was home alone, and no one else has access to my backyard. For insurance reasons, I have a lock on my back gate because of the pool. The gate always remains locked, as we would be liable if anything was to happen in the yard. I rush outside and see what was going on. That's when I see entitled mother standing next to my pool with her 4 children. They are all dressed in swimsuits, and entitled mother is rolling up the cover of my pool. Excuse me, what do you think you're doing in my backyard? My kids have been well behaved today and they want to go for a swim. I saw that you have a pool, so we're going for a dip. This is not a public pool, entitled mother, and you're on my private property. I need you to get out of my backyard now. I never told you that you're allowed to come onto my property without permission. Who the heck do you think you are? It is a very hot day and my kids want to go for a swim and they will. Not in my private pool, they won't. How did you even get in my yard anyway? The gate is locked. F off. In my old neighborhood, we did this all the time. My kids are going for a swim now, and you will not even know we are here. You are just being selfish, and I will not allow my babies to suffer because of your bad mood. Me, now angry. I will not ask again, entitled mother. You either get the heck off my property now, or I'll call the police. You are not using my pool, and that's final. The entitled mother finally gets the cover off. Okay, kids, jump on in. Don't listen to this stupid jerk. One of the kids says, yeah, you stupid jerk. We're going for a swim now, and you can't stop us. That's it. I'm calling the police. Entitled mother now sees that I'm serious and tries to reason with me. You would really not allow 4 kids to go for a swim on a hot day? What kind of heartless person are you? Just let us go swimming for an hour and we will leave. Don't you want to be a good neighbor to us? No, I do not. You just broke into my backyard without permission. Please get off my property now. Entitled mother starts to mumble something to her kids, and then she grabs her 2 youngest kids and starts to walk out of my yard. I then turn around and see her 2 oldest boys still standing by the pool. I start to walk over to tell them to go with entitled mother, and that's when I see what they're doing. Her 2 oldest hex spawns are peeing into my pool. Maybe that will teach you to be a better neighbor, you stupid jerk. I grab the arms of the 2 oldest and push them out the gate. Get the F off my property, you disgusting little turds. Don't you dare lay a hand on my babies or I will call the police on you. Who do you think they will believe? A good mommy or a pathetic little jerk like you? You just got what you deserve. Enjoy swimming in your piss pool. They then all walk off laughing as they went back to their house. I was in complete shock and I didn't know what to do. I now wish I called the police after this first incident, but sadly I didn't, and things have since escalated with this family. Remember how I said that I had a lock on the gate? I later found it broken on the ground. I have no idea what they used to smash it, but they were successful. I have since purchased a much more heavy-duty lock. OP, virtually every comment in this thread are people telling you that you have to install a camera. And I agree, but I'll actually sweeten the deal. If you install a security camera and get footage of a similar incident like this one, I will gladly pay for that video. And to everyone else watching, you definitely want to subscribe because if I get my hands on one of those videos, you will definitely want to be here to watch it. Our next Reddit post is from LambChop4. Okay, so about a year ago, we got a trampoline. It was pretty nice and led to all the younger kids in our street coming over and jumping, which works out because my brother was their age. So this happened about 4 months ago. I was babysitting my brother and there was a family that just moved in down the street. And here's where we get into the story. Okay, so on this day, I took my brother outside to jump on the trampoline because he needed to burn energy. We have a family rule that we don't have anyone over when our parents aren't home, including our trampoline. So if anyone gets injured, it's not our fault. We were jumping for about 5 minutes until she-demon herself shows up. Can my son jump with yours? I'm a teenager, and my brother is a preschooler, so I don't know where she got the idea that he was my son. No, I'm sorry, we're not allowed to have people over when our parents aren't home. Why not? My son just wants someone to put
30 together.
Allie Jackson Now, weekdays at 5 on NBC News Now. To cover the news, you have to be in it. These are families.
It's no surprise that fans of The Witcher novels and video games were excited by the news of The Witcher TV series. But how well do Netflix's characters compare to their book and video game counterparts? And which one caused the most controversy among fans? Keep watching to find out. Most fans know that DCEU's Superman, Henry Cavill, plays the titular role of The Witcher. However, not everyone knows that Cavill is
Welcome to rSlash Entitled Parents, where an entitled mother gives their young daughter to a complete and total stranger.
Wow.
Our next Reddit post is from Painsomnia. So, a couple of weeks ago, Karen, the entitled mother of this story, moved into an apartment next to my friend's. During these past couple of weeks, Karen has spoken with my friend just 2 times, with the second being yesterday, the day before this whole fiasco unfolded. This morning at about 9 a.m., while my friend was having a nice Saturday breakfast, someone started aggressively banging on her front door. When my friend answered, Karen was standing there with her 5-year-old kid who had a little backpack on. Sounding very flustered, Karen said she was sorry to have to ask this with no notice, but could my friend please watch her kid for a few hours because Karen had somewhere really important to be. Now, something you have to understand about my friend is that she can't stand kids and has no idea how to deal with them. Like, she tenses up and gets super awkward if a kid so much as waves at her in the supermarket. My friend is also disabled. She uses a motorized wheelchair, sometimes in a walking cane for short distances or when she's just pottering around in her own home. She lives with her girlfriend who's also her carer. Her chronic illnesses involve fainting spells and a lot of brain fog, so by her own account, she is absolutely not someone who should be left in charge of a child. Karen has seen my friend using both her wheelchair and her cane, and has seen my friend's girlfriend, who was at work when all this happened, helping her in and out of the car. So my friend responded with a firm no, explaining that her medical conditions meant that the kid wouldn't be safe in her care, and that she wasn't well enough to have any guests in her home anyway, let alone an unattended kid. Karen immediately flipped from pleading and simpering to hand-on-hip indignation. At this point, she accused my friend of faking her disabilities, because, of course, if she can walk at all, then she obviously doesn't need a wheelchair, right? And she threatened to report my friend to welfare if my friend didn't watch the kid for her. Never mind the fact that my friend isn't even on welfare, lol. Her girlfriend has a high-paying job, and my friend works part-time hours from home most weeks. Newsflash, not all disabled people are unable to work. Although, of course, getting employers to actually hire us is another matter because of ableism. So my friend basically said, I'm not on welfare, and I don't appreciate being blackmailed. Find another babysitter because I am not it. And she closed her door. Karen kept banging on the door for a bit, but eventually left. About 20 minutes later, my friend heard a very faint, timid tapping on her front door. She said if she hadn't been so close to it, she probably wouldn't have heard it. She sighed heavily, having kinda already guessed what was happening. She opened the door, and there was the little kid, who had clearly been crying, clutching the shoulder straps of her little backpack. She said, very softly, Mommy said I could stay here today. Now, like I said, my friend can't stand kids. But even she said this kid was an absolute darling throughout this entire fiasco, and the most she ever did was cry. Because clearly her mother is a frickin' monster. Karen had just driven off and sent her kid to my friend's front door, clearly thinking that if she left my friend with no alternative, she'd just play along and babysit the kid for her anyway. Especially since my friend had literally no way of contacting Karen. Wrong. My friend had escaped abusive parents at a young age, and this kind of thing made her furious. She settled the kid in front of the TV with a drink and some snacks and called the cops. My friend told them, yeah, my neighbor just abandoned her 5-year-old daughter outside of her apartment and the kid showed up at my door asking to come in. When the officers arrived, my friend told them the full story, and while they were appalled, she said they weren't surprised. One said, you'd be surprised at how not rare this kind of thing is, which is honestly kind of the worst part of all of this. The officers took the kid with them and were really sweet with her, explaining to her that she wasn't in any trouble and she had done the right thing, and that they were going to look after her and find out where her mommy had gone. My friend found out later that the cops were able to contact the kid's father, who is currently working on divorcing Karen, and was also appalled, but not remotely surprised by what she'd done. Here's hoping that he gets full custody of that poor kid after all this. And then Opie posted an update. This morning, my friend had another knock on our door, only it was the dad with the kid in tow. He went there to apologize for what his ex had done, and so that he and his kid could thank my friend for looking after the kid and calling the police. My friend said the father seemed like a good guy who was clearly putting his kid first in all of this, which was really reassuring to hear. He told my friend that, according to his lawyer, her calling the police and handling everything the way she did basically gift-wrapped a custody battle win for him. Because what kind of court would ever grant Karen custody after the stunt that she pulled? His lawyer was over the moon when the dad called him. My friend also asked the dad what had been so important that Karen had abandoned her own daughter over it. Are you guys ready for this? It's so frickin' cliche. It was an appointment at a nail salon. She had brought a kid with her several times previously and just demanded that the staff babysitter and refused to even acknowledge the kid during her time. When Karen called the other day to book a last-minute appointment, because she's a Karen, the staff put their foot down and told her she could no longer bring her kid to her appointment and would be refused service if she did. The dad also said that Karen had shown up so late to the appointment that they'd refuse to see her anyway, again, because she's a Karen. The dad told my friend that me time is an excuse that Karen uses to ignore her kid, basically anytime she feels like it. Do not talk to me during my me time.
My God.
The dad also asked my friend if she would be okay to help with the custody battle. He said he understood that her health wasn't great and that his lawyer said that a written statement would be fine. He said it probably wasn't essential since they had the police report, but he wanted to have as much evidence on his side as possible, just to be sure. Of course, my friend.
I'm gonna go to one of my parties. Here we go. Go to that party. What the fuck? I thought you would said, hey, what's up? But you were just talking to yourself. What the hell is that?
I was talking to you.
Oh, you were talking to me. What do you say?
What's up?
Oh, okay, what's up? Hey, can we play a game together?
Yeah.
Alright, hey, how about, well, I guess Minecraft, that's the only one that we can play together, huh? You know what? I don't care about the custom modded world. You know what? We gotta play legit, hardcore, hard, no mods, no cheats, fire on, TNT on, mobs on hard, and we gotta see how long we can survive. For real. That's what we gotta do. Okay? Okay. You wanna do it or you want me to do it? Are you drunk? Yeah, me too. Yeah. What? I can't play this game because... No, shut up, dude. No. I don't want to delete anything. I don't want to delete anything. Oh, I gotta stop recording. What? Yeah, dude. This sucks. You know what you can do? You know what you can do? You can go to Rockstar and go, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, please, just put it back on my PS4. Put it back on my PS4. What? Yeah, dude, I know. I've seen it. A lot of people are doing videos about how they're getting their account banned for doing nothing. Yeah, you know what? Fuck that shit. I'm waiting a long time. I'm waiting fucking forever. Okay. Alright, what are we doing now? I know he did. You deleted it, yeah. Ah, shit, dude. I'm fucking on air right now, and I was like, I'm gonna have to. I did not